All right, mic check for the press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check, mic check. I'm gonna get a little louder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome everybody to the Department of Transportation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One thumbs up. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check, mic. Okay, looks like we're good. All right, thank you guys. And that is the final mic check.
Anthony.
All right, everybody. If you could start making your way to your seats, we're going to try to clear out the atrium. Thank you.
We need a
Ladies and gentlemen, please start making your way to your seats. We're moments away from the presentation and the secretary is arriving. So please just get in your seats. We'll start to get things going down here. Thank you.
So do you laugh love to cry. Reply. Promise
gentlemen, please take your seats. Take your seats. We're about to begin the program. Please take your seats. We got a lot of empty seats over here. They're all seated. Everyone's quiet. Everyone's ready. Everyone's quiet and ready. We're going to get started in a minute. Okay, great. Perfect.
No, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, Nate said he's on his way down. So who's back there? I just want to make sure the volume's right. Sorry. For a second. No, it's fine. It's coming down.
Keep it quiet. Or good music. Keep it quiet. Keep it quiet.
Volume's good. Everything
Yeah.
went quick.
Nice.
Wow, the future of aviation. Thank you guys for being here. We have an exciting hour planned for everybody. We're going to walk through what we've envisioned at DOT and FAA. But before we do that, I want to thank those of you who are here. We have DOT staff, we have industry, we have the White House, we have Congress, we have some press, new media, and influencers. So thank you for partaking with us today. I want to walk through where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. So a little over a year ago, we had the DCA air crash. A lot of us in the greater DC area lived that. And what happened in the weeks after is it prompted us to take a look at the systems that we are using to manage our airspace. That was at the direction of the president. I did that along with the FAA. And what we realized was that we used an incredibly old, antiquated system, technology from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And what we did is, at that moment, commit to building a brand new air traffic control system, the best in the world, the best technology, partnering with the best companies that America has to offer. And as we rolled that proposal out, it was clear to many that this is not the first time America has had this conversation. Because 25 years ago, the FAA and the Congress understood that they had an old air traffic control system, again, 25 years ago. And they committed to spending billions of dollars to do what they called next gen. They too wanted to get rid of floppy disks, an old fiber network. They wanted to get rid of the paper flight strips. But 25 years later, we are still using floppy disks, flight strips, paper flight strips, and we are using an old network. So the promise that was made was never delivered upon. And so as we've gone through this conversation with the American people, we have committed to being radically transparent. We are going to tell you where we are, where we're going, are we on time, are we ahead of schedule, are we behind schedule? So America can follow the progress of a build that's critically important for their safety, but also for the efficiency of the airspace. And as I talk about an old system, I just want to front run a question I oftentimes get, which is flying safe? Is the airspace safe? And the answer to that question is very simple. Of course it's safe. It is the safest mode of transportation. If you fly from point A to point B, that is safer than the drive you will take from your home to the airport. It is safe, but it's not safe because we have the best systems in place. It's safe because we have fantastic air traffic controllers and highly skilled pilots. And I think as the greatest country on earth, the most technologically advanced country on earth, our people deserve the most technologically advanced air traffic control system, and that's what we are going to deliver for the American people. And as we walk through the next hour, you're going to have a chance to hear from some industry leaders. You're going to have a chance to hear from the FAA, our partners at Peraton. But the most exciting thing you're going to hear about is what's being developed in regard to software. That's where we get the biggest bang for the buck, driving safety and efficiency. And you're going to hear from Administrator Bedford on that, which is going to be wildly exciting. So as we've talked about this project, We've had some people say, listen, this project is too big. It's too complicated. You're going to move too fast. It can't be done. But this is not the first time those complaints have been made on big American projects. We had the Hoover Dam, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Eisenhower Interstate System. We built the Kennedy Space Center and we put man on the moon, and oftentimes people said, that's too big, that's too ambitious, it can't be done. Rebuilding the infrastructure around aviation is not too big for America. We can actually get this done. So let's put this into scale. This is truly the largest overhaul in aviation since the jet age. Full stop. Massive overhaul. Now, let's talk about what it's going to mean. This is going to take 10 million labor hours across manufacturing and installation and integration of the system. We're going to use 50 different vendors, dozens of skilled trades, from engineers to other trade entities. And we are going to have to work, not in one location, we are going to have to work in 4,600 different locations across the country. So that's remarkable. All those vendors manufacturing across the United States. That means that with those 50 vendors, those are American jobs that support American families. But as we think about the vendors, think about this. It's been 10 years in America since we have manufactured radars. And so if we're going to have a complete replacement of our radar, we're going to make sure that those radars are made where? They're going to be made in America by American workers for the American National Airspace. Radars made again in America. This project, again, is going to be big. Dozens of different labor categories, from welders to computer programmers, are all going to work on this project. I mentioned there's 4,600 sites that we have to work at. To put that in context, we work at more sites than Chick-fil-A has restaurants in America. And we work on Sundays. So let's talk about the progress that we've already made. We've already replaced 50% of the old wires, moving from copper to fiber. So remember a little less than a year ago, Newark? Right in Newark, we had 2 outages at different times, 45 seconds each, where controllers for 45 seconds couldn't talk to airplanes. That was a telecom issue. That was an issue with our old wires. By the way, we quickly replaced those wires, record time at Newark. Newark has had some of the most on-time performance since those updates and upgrades that we made a year ago. But in 1 year, this administration has done more in replacing old wires than the last administration did in all 4 of their years. We've converted almost 270 radio sites nationwide and installed 40 voice switches at facilities around the NAS. Now, if you think these radios, many of them were built in the 70s and the 80s. They're that old. And those old radios give you static, right? With new radios, we have crystal clear communication between controllers and pilots navigating through the airspace. We don't have static anymore with new radios. Again, it's shocking. And by the way, if you guys have not taken a look, we have demonstrations of the old products behind us and all of the new products coming online. Look at the old radios. Again, they're products of the 1970s. Wildly shocking that this is the equipment that we use in our airspace. So those of you in the DC area, you might recall last month that there was a shutdown of the airspace because the Potomac Tracon had a chemical odor in the facility. And so they had to vacate it, and the airspace out here was shut down for a couple of hours. Well, that was because there was a short circuit with a voice switch. Those are all going to be replaced. But again, you had a short circuit with a voice switch. That's how old this stuff is. We've installed new surface awareness systems at 54 airports. This allows us to track planes in the tarmac. So if you think of your controller in a tower with binoculars, that can be really great on occasion. But what happens when weather rolls in or fog rolls in and they can't see airplanes in the airfield? It slows things down. It can shut things down. But with this new surface awareness system, they're going to have all of the airplanes on the airfield on a screen in front of them. So think AirTag in your luggage, tracking where your luggage is at. Similarly, we don't use AirTags, but we have systems on planes that we can track them, driving efficiency, but also driving safety as our air traffic controllers are managing planes on the airfield. We've transitioned 17 towers to electronic flight strips. You've seen the paper strips. Again, as a controller passes an airplane from one controller to the next, they pass a paper strip down the line. We are digitizing. It's all going to be electronic, allowing for more efficiency in the controlling of airplanes and better technology for our controllers. So why does this matter? These upgrades are going to make travel more seamless. We're going to make our skies safer. We're going to unleash the next wave of innovation, and it's going to help us attract more air traffic controllers. Again, they don't want to work with all of the technology young people are using today. They don't want to use 1980s technology. They want to use the best technology the world and America has to offer. And putting that in our facilities is going to attract the best and the brightest to come into this field to make sure, again, we have the best people navigating our airspace. So I've given a brief overview of the scale of the project and what we've accomplished so far. We're going to have a chance now to hear from some industry. You're going to hear, again, from the FAA and Peraton walking through our work streams, critically important. But again, I want you to stay until the end. At the end of the hour, you're going to hear from our administrator of the FAA to talk about what's coming in regard to software. I was over at the FAA seeing all the development that was happening, and it's wildly exciting as we think about delays, as we think about cancellations. I would tell you, everyone seems to want to call me when their flight's delayed. I love that. And sometimes it's weather, sometimes it's mechanical, but oftentimes it comes from the systems that we use. And I think in America, you deserve better. You should have the best. You should have the best systems that drive safety for you and your family. And the software part of this is going to be critical to driving that efficiency. One side note before I'm going to pass it on is out of the $12.5 billion in the big, beautiful bill, thank you to Republicans in Congress and President Trump for signing it, this project is going to take us 2.5 years, only 2.5 years, to do this build with the $12.5 billion. We are going to need more money for the software side of this build. And the Congress is, and by the way, this is bipartisan. No one seems to be partisan in regard to getting the money because we all fly. But they're going to have to find a pathway to get us the rest of that money. It's going to take us time to develop it, deploy it, debug it, train on it. And so getting that software started now, hopefully as our build completes with all of the infrastructure, we'll have the technology of the software ready to meet up and in 2.5 years have a brand new system for America to use. And so at this point, I want to give it over to our industry experts in a moment. I'm going to call up former Governor Chris Sununu from Airlines for America. But before I do that, we've asked some other leading aviation experts and industry folks who couldn't be here today to give you a few comments in this video you're going to see now.
It's happening. It's happening.
It's happening.
Air traffic modernization is here. across the country. Major investments are coming to an airport near you.
From brand new radars to fiber lines,
these are long overdue upgrades for America's airspace.
Resources that our critical infrastructure demands. And it's happening fast, with government moving at a speed we've never seen before.
We're leaving behind outdated systems
and building something designed for today.
Faster, safer,
more reliable, fewer delays, fewer cancellations, more time where it matters.
This is about modern technology for the people who keep our skies moving.
Better communication between pilots and air traffic controllers.
Stronger, more resilient infrastructure.
From takeoff to landing, every part of the journey is being improved.
Thank you, Secretary Duffy.
Thank you to Secretary Duffy.
Thank you, Secretary Duffy.
And the administration for prioritizing this once-in-a-lifetime project.
The progress we've already seen is incredible. Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
This is what the golden age of air travel is all about.
This is the best of American innovation.
Built for today, ready for the future.
Our skies are getting renovated, and we're all on board.
Are you ready?
I don't know how they were so well synchronized. That was really well done. But listen, I want to bring up Chris Sununu from A4A to give an industry perspective for all of you. Governor, come on up.
All right. This is awesome. As governor, you don't normally get to work with folks that get it in government. And that's just, we all know that. We're here in Washington, D.C. That is not quite a secret. But here at DOT, it is working. And we know the story. We know the story time and again. 30 years we've had administrations ignore the fact they got men and women sitting up in those towers, basically keeping our air-safe space, keeping it as efficiently as possible, basically putting it together with shoestring and duct tape, what those air traffic controllers have had to deal with for all this time behind the scenes. It's astounding. And when we first saw those images just last year with the floppy disks and the paper strips, people said that can't be true, and it is very true. And it's not just a one-time thing, it's all over the country. So I cannot, on behalf of all the airlines across the country, the entire NA national airspace, cannot thank this administration, Secretary Duffy, Bryan Bedford, always looking so dapper, Bryan. I actually thought you were wearing red bottom shoes there for a second. I was like, holy crap. These guys get it. And look, as a governor, I was always trying to keep my large projects moving. You're keeping the bureaucracy, and I don't mean to say bureaucracy and bureaucrat with such a negative tone, but in this context I will. But the bureaucracy and the bureaucrats and the government, you know, they'll hide in their corner. Well, we're going to do it this way. And they won't be transparent. They won't bring outsiders in. But this administration has a completely 180. It's not just the software that's amazing. It's not just the technologies that's amazing. What goes very underappreciated is what's happening in this building and across this town. It's the process. And the process is we're going to bring industry experts in. Folks that have fought against government that hasn't worked for them before. We're going to have them come in because they know the barriers. They know, they've seen time and again projects like this fail. And failure, as we know, is not an option. And yes, in case you didn't get the memo, government doesn't get it right sometimes. It is working, and it's exciting. And that's why you saw all these industry folks here. That's why we have such a full room here. That's why we've created this Modern Skies Coalition, the first of its kind. Over 50 industry organizations, corporate partners, trade associations, our union partners, everybody coming together. Groups that pretty much compete on a day-to-day basis. Right? It's like their fifth sport is just attacking each other, competing and competing. But now they're collaborating with one vision, one goal in mind, making sure that this works and this happens. So it's not the industry over here and government over there. It's not them. It's not us. It's us all coming together with a singular vision. And when you see all this money come in, you know, $12.5 billion. First things before I even entered this industry, we were hearing it in the news. Oh, another major project. It'll probably take 30, 40 years. They'll hire a bunch of consultants. They'll talk about some things. Maybe they'll replace a little fiber here, and then they'll come up with an excuse 3 administrations later why it didn't happen. These guys are saying we've got a clock, and the clock is about safety. It's about efficiency. It's about better customer service, better friendliness in the skies, whatever it's going to be. We got a clock, and we have a timeline to meet. And they're exceeding it. I've never seen this before. We really haven't. What they've been able to do in 6 months. Oh, and let's talk about that 6 months. 2 government shutdowns. A fuel crisis, a jet fuel crisis we're seeing spurred over in the Middle East. Hopefully that'll be done pretty soon. Workforce shortages. These are all typical excuses that would typically allow a government to say, well, you know what, we're really going to get things going in late 2026. No, they didn't let any of that slow them down. They kept bringing in the industry. They kept being transparent. They're doing things like this to make sure people know exactly where they are, where the opportunity is, where the barriers are, and they're going. And they're bringing in, is it going to be a bumpy road? You bet it is. But again, they're not letting him slow us down at all. And this whole idea of us, that we are one, that we're working together in sync, never happened. Definitely not in this town, right? So it's exciting. So from an industry standpoint, first and foremost, we want to say thank you. We're here to be partners on this. We're here to the very end. And the good news is the very end is not too far away. This is just the beginning. Think of all these things we've done with radios and training simulators and radar systems and copper to fiber. That's in 6 months. That's being implemented now. Bringing in new technologies. What I've been able to get a little peek behind the curtain, right, because they bring the industry in. Some of the software and technology, how they use AI, but keeping people on the front end of it. You know, all these new technologies that are coming to bear, it's not, this is going to be really exciting in 4 or 5 years. This is going to be really exciting in 4 to 5 months. And people don't believe it when they say it, but boy, they're believing it now. They're really believing it now because it's coming to fruition. So we cannot thank you guys enough. You keep crushing it, knocking it out of the park. And your teams, by the way. Secretary Duffy, Bryan, your teams have been unbelievable. So that attitude, right, that culture change that is really happening here is seeping all the way through DOT, all the way through FAA, top to bottom. And that's exciting, and that's getting more people involved. It's allowing more people to have input. It's bringing more of our industry folks in. We cannot thank you enough. This is just the beginning. We just can't wait to see where this all goes. Thank you, guys.
These politicians are so good. Great speaking. Well done. Part of the Modern Skies Coalition, we have over 50 members. And this spans, again, groups that don't always see eye to eye, groups that don't always get along, but in modernizing our airspace, everybody has one vision, one plan, everyone is standing together, just like the bipartisanship we see on this in Congress. And I want to bring up our next speaker, who again, he represents our air traffic controllers, NATCA. It's the union. And these are the men and women that you never see, because they work in centers and TRACONs and in towers, and they keep your flights moving. They keep your flights safe. We never meet them. Sometimes we feel like they're nameless and they're faceless, but these are critical components to making sure that our airspace functions and it's safe. So let's bring up the NACA president, Nick Daniels.
I don't know if following Governor Sununu was on my list of agenda items today to bring that kind of energy, so I'll keep my remarks directly from here. Otherwise, I'll be on the microphone all day. But no, Secretary Duffy, thank you for bringing this group together. Administrator Bedford, same as well. But look around this room. It's been said already by the Secretary. You have the administration, labor, technologists, engineers, aviation companies, safety advocates, and policymakers. Every single person in this room has some piece now of working on the world's busiest, most complex, most diverse airspace system in the entire world. And I think it's worth taking that moment in, is that we've set a common goal. We've set something as 55 aviation groups and as an entire country to focus on one common goal, and that's bringing this airspace and bringing modernization to realization for not just the flying public, but for the American people. The aviation system has continued to lag behind, and it's become unreliable for many different reasons. But we're not here to talk today about all the woes of the past, all the lessons that are learned. We're here to talk about the future. And what we're talking about is not just incremental anymore. It's not just a one-time investment in the system. It's a down payment. We have a real down payment on building a system that can not only assist air traffic controllers, but it also ensures a safe, reliable system, but one that's not only prepared to handle the traffic of today, it's going to be ready to handle the traffic of the future. So yes, replacing paper strips with digital systems, absolutely critical. Deploying surface surveillance to towers that have never had it. Rebuilding the voice communication backbone of the national airspace system from the ground up. This isn't just today's work, it's generational work. The decisions that are being made right now will shape this country that moves people, goods, and services for the next 50 years. And NACA, we are proud to be a part of it. We are proud to also be a part of the Modern Skies Coalition, because safety, as you've heard many times over, it is not partisan. And the aviation community is unified by the common goals that bring air traffic controllers back to a healthy level of staffing and much needed improvements in reliability of our equipment. And the air traffic controllers, not only do they deserve it, but the professionals and those who use the airspace every day as well. But the most powerful thing that we can bring any modernization effort is the actual person who does the job day in and day out. The person who's closest to the issues, the person who's closest to the problems. And that's the air traffic controllers and the technicians who deal with these systems day in and day out. And that's why we all stand together. We all stand united to ensure that we build a system that's going to work for everyone. And what we bring to the table cannot be replicated. So the innovation that's being explored today, that you're going to have an ability to see, this is about learning from the lessons of the past. And it can't just be the attitude of, well, that's just the way we've always done it here. We're finally bringing innovative approaches, asking the right questions, and saying we're erasing all of the ways that it's been done before, and now going to bring true change to the table. Not at the speed that we've been used to, but at the speed of all of us being behind a project together. We need everyone, every single person in this room to be a champion and find ways to ensure it succeeds. Not those who are going to sit back and say, we'll just wait and see if everyone else gets it done. We're all a part of it, and we're all in it together. That's what this partnership in this moment calls for. So the innovation in this room, it's not competition for the controller workforce. These are going to be force multipliers. When technology handles more of the routine, controllers get to handle more of the critical. When system surfaces give us better information, controllers can make better decisions. When we get this right, the system gets safer, more efficient, and more resilient all at one time. It's not a trade-off of controllers or equipment. It's how do we support the controllers that are doing the job day in and day out. That's the goal. We stand united behind it and look forward to bringing the aviation system that this world deserves.
I appreciate that, Nick. Nick has been a great partner, sometimes a really tough partner, but we get along well because, again, we all have the same vision of where we want to take our systems and our technology. So I'm excited next. We're going to have an opportunity to hear from the Chief Technology Officer at the FAA and from Peraton. Now, Rebecca Guy, who's from the FAA, we have spent a lot of time together. She's explained a lot. We've walked through a lot for the last year. She has just been remarkable as this vision has come together about what systems have to be replaced, how do we do it, and the common refrain to Rebecca was, can we go faster? How can we do this more quickly? But she is a rock star at the FAA. They're going to walk through our work streams. It's going to be about 15 minutes of the work streams that we're going to engage in to accomplish this part of the build of the $12.5 billion. The president had said, well, listen, the FAA hasn't always been the best builders. Maybe you should partner with a project manager who can help with the build itself. We've selected Peraton, and Justin and Rebecca are going to come up and talk about where we're at, what those work streams are, and how quickly and how safely we can get this done. So, Justin, Rebecca, come on up.
Thank you. If you want to keep talking about me, that's fine. Hi, my name is Rebecca Guy, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer at the FAA. In a nutshell, my job is a pretty simple one. I have to take and make a reality out of the vision of President Trump and Secretary Duffy's brand new air traffic system and do it by 2028. And I truly believe this can be done. We usually take 10 to 20 years, and what we have to do is now have to do it in 3. And in part of President Trump and Secretary Duffy's leadership and the one big beautiful bill of $12.5 billion, we will get this done. In fixing this, we're doing things different. Some have probably heard the whole parting of a Red Sea. We're parting the red tape. We're throwing out our process, how we have done things in the past and the difference, and we are doing it differently. And to do this effort, to take on this massive effort, we knew we needed a partner. We needed a best-in-class integrator. So we did a rapid but a very thorough, rigorous acquisition, and we looked to find the best-in-class integrator. And we awarded a one-in-a-lifetime contract to Peraton for our best-in-class, brand-new air traffic control system integrator. This contract, though, is a little different. It's not typical. We are awarding based on quality and schedule on-time performance. We are ensuring we are using the taxpayer dollars the smartest and the best way. And we're also penalizing if there are any type of unscheduled outages in the NAS or poor performance. President Trump, Secretary Duffy, told us to get this done in 3 years. And we will get this done with our partner, Peraton.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. My name is Justin Ciascio. I'm the president at Peraton, and I am leading the most important modernization effort in American history. Peraton was made for this moment. We've been solving the government's most challenging problems for 125 years. That's nearly half the history of our entire country. We were built exactly for this moment. The FAA needed an integrator who could bring the right technology, the right people, and the right plan together, all at once, and at a massive scale. That's us. But here's what makes this different from anything that's come before. We're deploying revolutionary agentic AI technology for our Peraton team and the entire FAA enterprise. We're doing this to manage this program at a speed and scale that is simply impossible for humans alone. Think about this. 1.5 million records are analyzed every single day. Active work, planned work, resources, schedules, all of it in real time. We've already ingested and analyzed 5.7 million schedule and resource records detailing the entirety of FAA planned and historical work. But what does this really mean for the program? Well, risks are caught before they become crises. Schedules are stress tested before they break. Supply chain gaps are flagged before they cause delays. Tasks that used to take the team days or weeks, they are now complete in minutes or even seconds. And that's not an exaggeration. That is the new baseline. And here's what matters most. This technology does not replace people. It makes them superhuman. Our agentic AI handles the data, people make the decisions, and together we deliver. Now let me hand it to Rebecca to walk you through each work stream.
Thanks, Justin. The National Airspace System is actually a system of systems, and it is the largest in the world. And all of those systems need to be modernized. To keep it simple, we have 4 work streams we're going to walk through. 1 is wires, 2 is communication, 3 is radars, and 4 are electronic flight strips. We're going to start with focusing on wires, and here's a little video of how we're replacing copper wires with high fiber connections.
Flying safe isn't just about the plane. It's the network of air traffic controllers guiding every move. For decades, that network relied on old copper wires. They're ancient, and most importantly, they break. Remember the Newark Airport mess in 2025? That was a wire failure. It shut down controllers' radios and radar. Copper, it's a thing of the past. Fiber, it's the future. We're ripping out thousands of miles of old metal and replacing them with high-speed fiber.
This is the copper that the FAA is getting away from nationwide, and we're going to fiber like you have at your house. Its durability is better, and it will last much longer.
The new wiring that we got, it allows for that connection to be stronger and to go across longer distances.
Some of the problems that we face with copper, as it ages, it starts to deteriorate, killing the signal that we send out.
The behind-the-scenes stress of the controller's job is hard enough, so if they don't have to worry about the technology failing as much, that will definitely make their jobs a lot easier.
Pilots and controllers need to have communications at all times, and those communications need to be very reliable.
Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg, they said it would take more than 10 years. That's absurd. We're getting this done at the speed of Trump. With fiber powering the way, we'll have faster data, less outages, and a system that's fit for the 21st century.
Telecommunications is the backbone of the national airspace. It connects over 5,000 facilities: radar, weather, voice switches, radios, automation. Everything relies on that telecommunication. And today, our connections are from the 1960s. Remember rotary phones? Most of you will say no, but those are what our technology currently exists on. Secretary Duffy referenced what happened in Newark last spring. We fixed Newark, and we are fixing the rest of the country and replacing the old, outdated copper with high-speed fiber, wireless, and satellites. This creates a safer, faster, and reliable network. Justin?
Thanks. Unfortunately, Rebecca's correct. The telecommunication backbone of American aviation has been running on analog equipment for decades. Think of it this way. We're taking airspace technology from dial-up to gig speeds. And the scale's massive. 5,100 connections across the country will be upgraded. But the good news, 2,400 are already underway, and we are ahead of schedule. Nearly 50% of copper lines have already been replaced, and we're not slowing down.
Our second work stream is communications. Pilots and controllers have to be in constant communication throughout the national airspace. Every altitude, every turn, every handoff from one controller to another, we have to have reliable communication. Many of our radios and voice switches are decades old, 1970s, and the communications aren't as smooth as they should be. Static causes issues. The old voice switches are not as reliable, and we need reliability for our people. As Secretary Duffy talked about at Potomac TRACON a couple of Fridays ago, and it is always on a Friday night. I don't understand why it's on a Friday night. There was a short circuit in our legacy system, and it caused massive disruption on that Washington area airspace. We cannot have this. We need reliability, and that is exactly why these need to be replaced today.
Thank you. More than 27,000 radios at 1,600 sites. All of them are being replaced. In fact, more than 250 sites are already complete, with more coming online each and every day. But this isn't just about new hardware. This is about what happens when a pilot and a controller can finally hear each other clearly. We are installing new voice switches, the technology that allows air traffic controllers to communicate with pilots and each other. We have situations today, though, where two people are talking at once, garbling the message, Instructions get blocked, words get missed, and the consequences can be dire. These new voice switches will help controllers and pilots avoid stepping on each other's transmissions. In short, we're building a telecommunications backbone engineered for the future.
Was actually taken out of a tower just a month ago. Our third work stream is radars. Controllers track aircraft using radars that show altitude, direction, and other nearby aircraft. Many of these radars date back to the 1970s. They're breaking down more often and are very costly. Radar is critical for resiliency and for redundancy to our GPS system. And we saw this actually in 2022 when there was a GPS outage over Dallas-Fort Worth. We also need radars on our surface. Our current surface movement radars that track planes on and around surfaces also are missing and do not have the right parts. When they fail and the parts are not available, we have to shut them down until we can find a replacement part. These systems need to be better, and we are replacing both with brand new state-of-the-art radar. And while we're talking about surface safety, we're also bringing a new surface safety awareness system to all the other airports that currently only use binoculars or their own eyes to look out the window. This way, controllers have another tool in their toolbox when weather gets bad, and they're able to track those aircraft across the surface.
Thank you. As Rebecca indicated, the most fundamental job of an air controller is to know exactly where every aircraft is at every moment. Here's how we're going to help give controllers more power to do their jobs. We have 3 systems working together. The first system, terminal radars and beacons. 612 sites are being upgraded and standardized. And last week, we onboarded 5 new radar technical instructors at the FAA's Air Traffic Controller Academy in Oklahoma. Because at the end of the day, building the right infrastructure means nothing without the right people to support it. The next system, surface movement radars. These are the radars that see what human eyes cannot, tracking every aircraft and vehicle on the airport surface through fog, rain, and total darkness. When visibility drops to 0, these radars are the last line of defense. 53 total sites are planned, 2 are already complete, both in Houston, and installations are happening right now in 3 major airports, San Diego, New Orleans, and Newark. Finally, the third system, the Surface Awareness Initiative, or SAI. 220 SAI systems are planned, 54 are operational, and 42 more are in active installation process right now. These systems give controllers a real-time picture of everything moving on the ground, every aircraft, every vehicle, every potential conflict. We're moving out on this.
Our fourth work stream is electronic flight strips. We're ditching the paper strips for good. Check this out on how to go from electronic flight strips will change the game for controllers.
Paper is great for taking notes, but not for tracking your plane in the sky. Air traffic controllers have used paper strips to follow your flight. These strips contain all the important info, including your flight number, route, plus airport information.
Being able to have all this stuff done electronically reduces any kind of issues with handwriting, with paper strips getting lost.
That's why we're going digital with electronic flight strips. We're moving past paper and putting that information on one smart computer screen.
I've been in the FAA for about 18 years, and this is the biggest upgrade that I've seen in my entire career.
The controllers are loving it. Once they get to use it, they don't know how they live without it.
Without these technologies, America would be stuck in the past.
It is going to change our game completely. There is no going back and seeing which flight strip do I have. Do I need to change this? Do I need to add this? Do I need to stop this? Everything's going to be immediately uploaded to the screen.
It's really important that we get our technology out of the 1940s and 50s and give the air traffic controllers the best and most modern tools to keep us safe.
Paper trails are history. Now thousands of flights are tracked at lightning speed.
This is a national priority. It's the President's signature vision.
for rebuilding America at speed.
No more lost paper. Digital is made for the golden age of travel.
Like you just saw, flight strips are a key tool controllers use to track, sequence, or for situational awareness of an aircraft. Using paper strips today often means controllers are having to do administrative tasks, whether it's passing that flight strip or counting, and that collectively can cause a loss of situational awareness. And sometimes that loss of situational awareness can result in an accident, such as the NTSB findings in the 2006 Kentucky accident. We have to do better for our air traffic controllers. Digital is now. These electronic strips will ensure a controller workload, they will ensure efficiency, but most importantly, they will ensure safety.
You're right, Rebecca, and we can do better. And we owe it to the controllers, the pilots, and the traveling public. The solution is called the Terminal Flight Data Manager, or TFDM. It digitizes everything. Flight data collection, distribution, real-time updates, all of it instantly at the fingertips of every controller who needs it. And the progress, it's real. TFDM is already live at 17 of 89 sites, and we're just collectively getting started. But the impact, it goes beyond the tower. TFDM's decision support tools build runway-specific departure schedules, balance demand across the system, and reduce the gridlock that delays your flight from pushing back from the gate on time. When all 89 sites are complete, America's air traffic controllers will have the tools they deserve to keep you safe and on time.
I know I said 4 work streams, but I can't go without mentioning Alaska. We have to talk about the progress we've made in Alaska. Alaska presents one of the most challenging flying environments in the world. To fly safely and operate efficiently, pilots need timely and accurate weather information. Across the state, we're installing weather and visibility systems, cameras, so that pilots have a better understanding of those remote areas that they need to get to and the weather that is there. This improves safety by letting them know early what the weather is along the route and where they're going.
If you want to understand why this modernization truly matters, just look at Alaska. There are just 4 interstate highways, no commuter rail, and vast stretches of wilderness between communities. For hundreds of thousands of Alaskans, the airplane is the only way in and the only way out. Groceries, medicine, emergency care, it all flies. That's why we're upgrading 17 flight service stations in Alaska. We are bringing the same modern infrastructure deployed across CONUS locations to the facilities that serve some of Alaska's most remote communities. And because Alaska's weather can be as unforgiving as its terrain, we are installing 174 new weather camera systems at remote sites across the state. Not sensors, cameras that provide real-time visual data that automated systems alone cannot capture. Because in Alaska, aviation is a way of life. It's where every BNAC's work stream converges. As Rebecca said in the beginning, we are taking decades of work and condensing it into 3 years. This can only be done with collaboration, expertise, and the most cutting-edge technologies across the board. The workforce at FAA, Peraton, and industry, paired with our advanced AI capabilities, are changing the face of aviation. Together, we are simplifying the complex, managing risks, and resolving conflicts before they happen, all at record speed. 4 work streams, thousands of sites, 1 deadline to meet. Thank you to the Secretary, the Administrator, and to you, Rebecca, for partnering with us on this historic effort.
Thank you, Justin. As Secretary Duffy mentioned, 1 year ago, he stood on this stage and announced the brand new air traffic control system. If you were here and you saw pictures or videos, you would have seen this entire stage littered with equipment that many people commented looked like it was from the Smithsonian. 1 year later, I invite you to go into the back after this is done. What you will see is that equipment that most likely has just come out of an operational facility, and right next to it, the brand new technology getting ready to be installed into an operational facility. It is amazing what has been done in 1 year. The vendors that have been throughout working on all of this work have literally moved mountains. It has taken all of us. And it is not just for the major metropolitan areas. This is for every airport across the country. Every user, commercial, GA, military, will see a benefit of this. I have to say thank you to Secretary Duffy, thank you to Administrator Bedford for your leadership. On behalf of the FAA, the vendor community, Paratime, we are not only ready, we will be successful. Thank you.
I do want to highlight again why this is so important. 25 years ago, a promise was made to the American people, and the promise was next gen. And it wasn't that this idea of upgrading, updating new technology for the national airspace, it wasn't just an idea. Money, real money, billions of dollars was put behind that effort. And 25 years later, it was never done. And so what Justin and Rebecca just walked you through is, to slightly correct her, it's been less than a year since we stood on this stage and announced our plan for a brand new air traffic control system, which, by the way, I wish I would have picked a better name. I was just saying brand new air traffic control system, and now that's our name. Sorry about that. I'm sure the president's not happy with that naming, but we're going to stick with it. But less than a year. But it's been 6.5 months since we actually got the money from One Big Beautiful Bill. And so in 6.5 months, what Justin and Rebecca are walking you through is the speed at which we're working to modernize brand new technology into our airspace. And what is this going to do? It is going to drive safety. It's going to drive efficiency for controllers. Wildly exciting. But what we don't have money for, which the Congress didn't give it to us yet, and by the way, I keep saying that, so if any of you want to talk to Congress and ask them to give us some more money, is the software. We are using a version that is somewhat like Windows 95 if you're old enough, or a genre of Windows XP. We're using older software. Does it work? Yes. But if you think how far we've come with software developments, the future is revolutionary on the tools that we can now use to manage the airspace. In a moment, we're going to bring up the guy who has been just dogged on this issue, our administrator of the FAA. But before we do that, let's watch a video on software, national airspace. Check it out.
Hey, good morning.
I'm Bryan Bedford. I am the administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration. And it's certainly a great time to be in the aerospace industry. I have to tell you, I feel really blessed to be part of this team and part of the mission. The President set a vision for us to modernize air traffic control over the next 3 years. You've heard a lot about that, but I'm going to walk you back in time just a little bit, because in order for big projects to be successful, it's not enough to just say, go get her done, right? We've tried that. We needed to actually have a strategy. And what was the strategy that the FAA was going to employ to get a big moonshot type project done and to do it at record speed? And we actually, in order to do big projects, you tend to want to break them down into very manageable elements. And Rebecca, you were being very generous, only boring us with 4 of what are 14 very, very detailed work streams that the FAA is managing on BNACs. But if we just did BNACs, and I like that, Mr. Secretary, I like BNACs, I've grown accustomed to it. If we stopped there, we would have a very reliable but still highly inefficient national airspace system. So if we stop just at BNACs, even with the success of getting copper replaced with fiber, even building out radios, going from an analog NAS to digital, let's let that sit in for a second. We have an analog national airspace system today, and trying to move into the 21st century, off TDMI into VoIP. Okay, but I'm getting distracted, and that is the number one reason big projects fail, is we get distracted. So building work plans that are highly actionable, highly transparent, highly accountable, that was step 1. But in our strategy, BNext was one of 3 pillars. People. People is actually the foundation of safety in the national airspace system. No secret to you, you've heard we're shorthanded air traffic controllers, which is why last year the Secretary announced he was supercharging hiring. And we've done that. We've successfully onboarded over 2,000 people last year, another 2,200 onboarding this year, another 2,300 next year, 2,400 the year after that. We are not taking our foot off the accelerator on solving the people issue. But part of the solution for the people issue is running the system right to begin with. And that brings us to the 3rd pillar, actually redesigning the national airspace system, something that hasn't been done since we started flying by bonfires, right? Every VOR, every VORTAC used to be a bonfire in the 1940s, and that's how airplanes navigated across the country. We can do better. You ask yourself, why does it take longer to fly from New York to LA today than it did in a Lockheed Constellation? And the answer is the airspace has not modernized. The technology has, the jet engine, great invention, but we still operate on the same highways and the skies that we operated at in the 1940s and 50s. We need to do better. And in fact, the way we operate the airspace today adds risk to the system, because we're putting all of these aircraft in the same traffic lanes. It's like Los Angeles gridlock up there. We can do better. And it starts by thinking of the NAS as an organized system. And no offense to our A4A friends, but today we optimize a system for each of the airspace competitors. And BAA is doing something different. GA is doing something different. All of these competitors in the airspace are, frankly, disorganized. And the FAA no longer has to sit and play on its back foot. We can actually structure and organize this traffic before they actually publish schedules and sell tickets. We know today, when we open up the airspace every morning, it's filled with conflicts and delays and potential cancellations. And then we ask the men and women in the towers and the TRACONs and the route centers to sort out that mess and put this into some organized flow that can actually have a chance of getting done safely and reliably. We can do better. And the future starts now. If you think about this, for those of you who follow FAA procurement, we put out a notice of procurement, a challenge grant in November, was it, Rebecca, for 2 things. 2 system developments. 1, common automation platform, which you've heard the Secretary discuss. Not funded, but we certainly want to get ahead of the process and understand what the art of the possible is and what will it cost to deploy. There's a second element Rebecca didn't mention, Putting fiber in the ground isn't enough. If we want to actually move into a digital NAS, we need a robust data network system. We need to get into the cloud. We don't have the money to do that either. So it's not just about getting to common automation platform. We have to replace the federal telecommunications infrastructure into a new enterprise network system. That will be the key to unlocking all these benefits. But again, how do we move from a highly tactical, highly variant system today, lots of dependencies, none of it strategically optimized? We asked the question as we put our second procurement out, flight management data system, could we look at these vendors and see if we could actually sort of bend that procurement to solve the bigger issue? When you ask, why does the FAA need to replace its traffic flow management systems or its time-based management systems? Well, one is they're not sustainable. They don't work well. They're like glorified calculators. Okay, can we actually move to maybe an iPad type solution? That's a euphemism, not an actual suggestion. But the point being that we were going to bring into the 21st century a data flow management system. And we looked at that tool, which would be an awesome upgrade for the FAA and for the controllers, but it's reactive. It's solving a problem that's already happened. And we challenge them to say, how can we build a system that fixes the problem before it happens? Truly first principles thinking here. How can we actually build the system so it's strategically deconflicted and optimized so that we can manage trajectories for 55,000 IFR flights a day, knowing that the trajectories are being managed in a way that we can deliver safely and reliably, significantly reducing the controller's work demands, and at the same time increasing their focus on managing the exceptions. We didn't know if we could do it or not, and the vendors that we brought in weren't sure they could do it, but over the course of the last 2 months, they've created true digital twins of the national airspace system. They've injected over 20 years of data, and we have built reliable twins that allow us now to use predictive analytics to take in what will be future schedules, optimize those schedules in a way that will allow us to ensure that all 55,000 flights start that morning deconflicted from one another on trajectories that if the pilots will just fly them, right, in 4 dimensions, we'll be able to have those planes optimized and sequenced for their top of descent landing, again, on time into their final destinations. And if we do this correctly, and we believe the early indications are that we can, we'll actually reduce costs for our stakeholders. We will see block times go down, and we will finally be able to unlock flying from New York to LA in less time than it takes to do it today. And that is the win. Less fuel burn, less cost to actually have airplanes sit on the ground. I know it happens to me every week. Bryan, we've moved off the gate on time, but there's too much flow overhead, so your edict time is 20 minutes past the top of the hour. Oh, gosh, there's so much block hour pad in the system, I land, I'm still on time. In fact, I'm early, but guess what? My gate's occupied because you didn't expect me to land on time, and so I sit again. So 40 minutes of my flight is sitting on the ground waiting for someone else to get out of my way so I can actually get off the plane. We can do better, and the smart systems that we're building, strategically managed air routing systems, the smart system air route trajectories will get us to a place where we can actually start the day knowing that we can deliver for the American public. We can fly these flights, we can fly them safely, and we can fly them on time. And that is what we're asking Congress to fund for us. That is the opportunity for the future. That is the third leg of true modernization. Now, nobody on the planet is doing this. You'll hear some folks refer to this as trajectory-based operations, something that the FAA tried to do maybe 15 years ago. Big fail. Again, we can get it done. The technology is advanced in a way now that we feel highly confident that we can accomplish these goals. We can deliver a smarter system for the American public and save all of our stakeholders money in the process. So with that, Mr. Secretary, I will turn it back over to you.
We're going to turn over to questions in a second, but just to maybe highlight a point, Bryan and Rebecca are not at their computers trying to program how this is going to look. They have partnered with some of the greatest companies in America that are helping develop these tools. And what as Bryan will tell the story and Rebecca will tell the story is they see a problem and they think they have a solution and they ask our partners to solve the problem they think they have. And it seems like the problem evolves and changes. And then the result and the tool gets even better. And the progression of that is underscoring the point that the FAA is nimble, they're thoughtful, and they're driven to the best result possible to manage the airspace. And this really is where we are going to get the biggest bang for the buck in regard to safety and in regard to efficiency in the airspace. Again, the delays, the cancellations, and we can't affect weather, and we can't affect mechanical problems, but we can have a massive impact on how aircraft are operating. So very well done. Bryan has been remarkable at the FAA. Thank you. With that, we're happy to take questions if any of the media have questions for us. If we have to pull Rebecca up, we will.
Hi, this is Fiona with NBC News. How do electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft affect air traffic control?
So great question. Today, it's just more demand on the system that's already constrained. So modernization becomes even more critical when we talk about introducing new technologies. And that's happening. Drones today, as an example, drones today last year, I think we did just under 1 million drone deliveries across the country in our various sandboxes where they're operating. We'll do over 10 million drone deliveries this year. That's going to continue to grow. Now, the way we've managed it today is we place those drone limitations in sandboxes that keep them out of the national airspace. But in time, they're going to want to expand in places where we need to have more control. Think about then eVTOL, supersonic, a daily space cadence. You know, the demands on the NAS are growing, and we have got to, we're already playing from behind, right? We have got to get ahead of this. Otherwise, we are going to stifle American innovation.
It's really challenging to think that we are going to put more workload on NATCA's members to control an even more complicated national airspace. And to Bryan's point, the software that's being developed will help the management of new aircraft coming into the national airspace far more seamlessly. And again, this is the future. But think of, we're changing in this industry more so than we have in the last 50 years with drones, with eVTOLs, with supersonic flight. It's going to change the way people move and products move throughout the airspace. And it's going to be no doubt in our lifetime, but in the next 4, 5, 6 years, these changes are coming and they're really cool. They're going to pass the mic. I'm not going to.
Hi. Oriana Pollock with Politico. A question for you, Mr. Secretary. You mentioned that there are 3 vendors doing artificial intelligence work with the FAA already. Can you say who these 3 vendors are? And is that funding already there for them to start this work, or will you be asking Congress for more money for them to complete the work?
I don't see where you're at. I'm trying to. Oh, there you are. Okay, thank you. So I don't know that we've announced who the 3 are yet, but we do have 3. And we've looked within our couch cushions at the FAA to start the work, to find the money to begin this process and engagement of industry. But we do need the money. And just to be clear on the dollar side, we were given $12.5 billion. But the $12.5 billion, the Congress was very specific on how we had to use it. So we can't switch pots of money and say, oh, we want to do software instead of, say, build a new TRACON. We can't do that because they were specific in how it has to be spent. So we do have some money that we can use for the development, but the Congress has to fund this. And again, this is not one of the few things in Washington that isn't partisan. Almost everybody agrees with it. They just have to commit to it and find a pathway to get it done. So we don't get the infrastructure of the radars and the radios and the new telecom and digital and then we have to wait 10 years for the software. We are ready now, and I think from today you'll see that maybe you shouldn't have faith in what happened 25 years ago. The Congress should have faith in this DOT, in this FAA, because we are building, and we're building now. We're delivering on the promises that we've made. We update the Congress every quarter, and we're honest. We tell them, are we behind? Are we ahead of schedule? And if we're behind schedule, we'll tell them our plan to get caught up. A few things were not our fault. We're a little behind on a couple streams, but it's for the most part we're on track to have this project completed before President Trump leaves office. So this will be at the end of 2028. We'll have spent all $12.5 billion. But to the Congress, we do need the next tranche for the software.
Hi, this is Allison Versperell from Bloomberg News. I'm sorry, this question's a little off topic, but I did want to ask about Spirit Airlines and where the government stands on potentially stepping in with a bailout or maybe taking a stake in the company, and also what you're hoping to get out of the meeting later this afternoon with the low-cost carrier CEOs.
You were talking about the spirit of the airspace? No. Listen, obviously that's been in the news. This is a different...
You can't have any of our money.
I think the president was on CNBC this morning. He's directed us to take a look. I'll have a conversation with the president later today. And I am talking to low-cost carriers. I meet with them once a year. This was planned some time ago, so they are going to be in today. And we'll have a conversation with those folks as well. I don't believe Spirit is in today, so it's the other low-cost carriers. But again, the president says take a look, and he is my boss, and so we will take a look.
Thank you. Karen Walker at Transport World and Aviation Week. Really for both or either of you, we've heard, of course, you've got your integrator, and you're in the process of getting contracts out to system managers, for a better way of putting it. How do those different roles work, and how will they work together for this system?
Yeah, so Peraton, think of them as an extension of me. They speak with the voice of the administrator. They are our agent. They enter into reciprocal agreements, ACAs, I believe is the term of art, for working with our other vendor communities. So through those relationships, they are in fact, they're quarterbacking the project from here on out. Now the FAA leadership, Rebecca, Neil, and others are, I mean, literally every week we're working with them to make sure that we are informed about things that we need to think in terms of pushing vendors, maybe deconflicting some of the project implementation. Let's not forget the fact that over 18 million flights, IFR flights a year, are still going through the airspace. Over 1 billion passengers are safely carried through the airspace annually. So we have obviously a significant challenge to modernize, all without causing any disruption in the current national airspace system. A fun challenge.
We'll do one more question, but just maybe a side point on that is what's been unique in this administration is the number of really smart people who have done well in their fields that are willing to give back to their government. They're willing to give back. They care, for us specifically in aviation, they care about aviation. And they're willing to give their time and their resources, their energy and their knowledge to help us do a better job. And they've worked wonderfully well with the stable, consistent team of the FAA with Rebecca, but the intelligence that's circling around that we can pull into to get all to work together to accomplish this, I think that's why we have been so successful thus far. And that's why I feel comfortable, and Bryan feels comfortable, that we are going to deliver this on time, on budget, and I think Bryan's other point was we are also not going to break the NAS. We are going to make sure that everyone is safe, because it's a big project, and we're going to make sure that we keep the airspace safe as we do an incredible overhaul. We'll do one more question.
Hey, Mr. Secretary, Patrick Terpstra with Scripps News. I wanted to ask you about an event over the weekend at Nashville. Two Southwest Airlines planes had to take evasive action to avoid each other. And I wanted to ask you, even with all the focus on new technology for air traffic control and hiring up, supercharging controllers, why do these incidents seemingly keep happening week after week?
Well, again, without getting into the specifics of Nashville, 55,000 IFR flights a day and another 25,000 GA flights a day that are in the airspace right now. In this particular issue, we had an unstable approach. The Southwest pilot called for a go-around. There are prescriptive go-around procedures that they are to follow. In this case, we did have due to the runway configuration, a departing flight that were just around 1,000 feet. So they were not a near miss as you would define it, but certainly it was, an unplanned event.
And I would just say the tools that are being developed will be incredibly helpful to air traffic controllers. And again, this is why we think the airspace will not just be more efficient, but it will be a lot safer to assist the men and women on the front line in towers and TRACONs across the system to have additional tools to make their jobs easier. As technology has made all of our jobs easier throughout the course of the last years and decades, we think controllers should have those same tools to assist them in how they do their work. I do want to thank the FAA, our partners in the modernization effort. I want to thank you all for coming. This is real. This is happening. We are going to deliver for the American people. What was promised 25 years ago is going to be delivered to you in 2.5 years. The future is coming. I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to pre-thank the Congress for giving me more money for software. God bless. Thank you all.